This is Charlie for Topic, and in this video I'm going to test the new Sigma MC11 EF to E mount converter with Canon lenses. Now, Sigma has pointed it out specifically that their converter is only compatible with selected Sigma lenses. So right at the moment, I am going to test it with a Canon lens to see what it can do. Now, I'm not expecting a full compatibility from it. The only reason I'm testing is I just want to see what can we get out of it and what can we do and if we have any functionality whatsoever. So right now I'm just going to test it with the 24-70 and I'm going to test it with the 50mm and 35mm and a little Tamron lens as well. So let's see what it does. Right, so first up will be the A7R2 and my first test will just be basic aperture control. And we can see it's got really good aperture control, nice and smooth. But let's see if anything works on the autofocus modes. Alright, so let's first see what focus modes we've got available with this lens. Scroll over. We'll see that on the A7R2 we have single shot mode available as well as continuous mode. Well, let's first test the single shot and see if there's any functionality on it, and I'm just going to switch it over to a center spot and see if it can focus on my hand, how snappy it is. So wow. So it actually works. Now I'm going to change the focus mode over to continuous. You see the other options now grayed out that we had on the Sigma lenses. I'm going to switch it to continuous and let's see what focus areas we have available. So you see here that we've got our center position, our flexible spots, but our expanded flexible spot and lock-on autofocus spots are disabled. That's still not too bad. Let's put it on the flexible spot, choose a position and see, it's not functioning as we would expect. In continuous mode, let's choose another focus area. See if it does better tracking on center spot. We actually get a little bit of a tracking happening there. So let's see what happens in video mode. We'll flick the camera over to video mode to the top. And immediately we can notice we do not have autofocus in video mode. It keeps on constantly tracking, but you can focus on one spot by holding in the shutter button, or in this case you can't. It's a little bit searchy and hunty and then just basically gives up. But heck, you can always just use it in manual focus. So I just switched over to the Canon 35mm f1.4. You can see with this lens we also have full aperture control and the same kind of autofocus modes are available than with the 24-70. Focus performance in single mode is also similar to the 24-70, though it feels a little bit slower. And let's see what it does in video mode. Again, it doesn't have any autofocus tracking, and when I press the shutter button to try and focus it, it's really searchy, hunts around, and basically doesn't lock on. But it doesn't matter, at least again we can do it in manual mode. So now let's switch over to the 50mm for interest sake and see what that does on it. Switch to stills mode. See, we have full aperture control. And in single point focus mode, it actually does focus a little bit slower than the other two lenses I've tested. But at least it works. And in video mode, we And in video mode, basically I have the same issues, that it almost wants to lock on and then just basically gives up. Now, one more lens I would like to try with this converter is the Tamron SP45 f1.8 lens. We've been having issues with this lens on the C300s. We can't get the aperture to actually work, but whereas on the other stills Canon cameras it works perfectly. So let's see what it does with this converter. Great, also doesn't work. We don't have any aperture control or any control whatsoever. Let's quickly test the compatibility of the Canon lenses with this Sigma MC11 converter on the A7S2. So at the moment I've got the Canon 24-70mm attached to this camera. Let's see what focus capabilities we have in stills mode. So you'll see here on the A7S we only have single shot AF available and not continuous mode as well, like on the A7R2. And focus areas that's available for us, it's also only things like wide, center, and flexible spot. And our lock-on flexible spots are not available, but strangely enough, expanded flexible spot is. Well, let's just test the flexible spot. Move it around a bit, and then see if it locks on. Yeah. It's a little bit searchy. It takes a little bit slow, but it actually does sort of lock on. Right, so let's see what it does in video mode. We'll flick the camera over to video mode. As expected, I don't have a continuous autofocus tracking in video mode. But unlike on the A7R, this one seems to actually lock on a little bit better in video mode if I press the shutter button for your once-off focus. Let's test it with a 35mm f1.4 lens attached to the camera. You can see, same as with the 24-70, we only have single shot autofocus available. And I'm just going to move this little point around and see if it can track it. So in stills mode, single point, autofocus performance seems to be okay, rather fast. I'm going to flick it over to video mode. And just adjust the exposure a tad bit. See, again, we don't have auto tracking, but I can get that once-off focus by pressing the shutter button, and it sort of locks on quite quickly. So next up, the 50mm. Let's test it in stills mode. See that autofocus is working. It's a little bit searchy, takes a little bit long. It's not optimal, it seems, there with the 50mm in stills mode. And video mode, again, as expected, doesn't do any auto tracking. But I can do a once-off focus. See, it doesn't totally lock on. It's a little bit searchy and then just sort of gives up. Rather hit and miss. This little Sigma MC11 converter really delivers what it promises when used in combination with Sigma lenses on the A7S2 or the A7R2. And surprisingly as well, it gives you some functionality with Canon lenses. You basically get probably the same kind of functionality you would have gotten with something like the Metabones adapters. So that's really awesome. this little converter really makes the A7 series a versatile system.